We get done with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor Mike Worrell is going to lead us in tonight's invocation. Pledge allegiance to the flag,
United States of America, to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we do thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to come together. Thank you for the opportunity to be in this place, Lord. Thank you for the opportunity to live in the greatest country in the world. Lord, we are blessed beyond measure. We are so thankful for what you do for us each and every day. Lord, I do pray that you would grant wisdom to this board. I pray that you help them to govern in a way that pleases you, Lord. I am so thankful for this city. I am once again thankful for this opportunity. Lord, you are God and you are good. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Pastor. We'll go on to roll call. Nancy will do roll call for us.
Bakery. Bivens.
Here.
Book.
Here.
Friel.
Here.
Gascoigne.
Here.
Hudson.
Present.
Huss.
Here.
Kitson.
Present.
Copine.
Here.
Mimini. Naylor.
Present.
Pearson.
Present.
Robertson.
Present.
Sheline.
Here.
Shippert.
Here.
Scrogstad.
Here.
White.
Here.
Wilson.
Here.
Seaman.
Here.
Olson.
Here. Thank you. Under announcements, would you please mute or turn your cell phones off? And we'll go down to Shelley Dallas, acknowledgement of her 30 years of service with the county. Mr. Bivens, would you like to present?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members. It's an honor and privilege to be able to make this recognition of Shelley Dallas, who has more than 30 years with the County of Lee. And Shelley started her working career way back in 1992 with Best Employment Skills Team. And while attending Sauk Valley Community College, she worked part-time in the law offices of Henry and Linda Dixon. On December 1st of 1993, she was hired by State's Attorney Dan Fish as the Victim Witness Coordinator. In 1995, Shelley was promoted to office manager in the State's Attorney's Office. This position included, along with other duties, assisting with the document preparation of the enhanced 911 system. On August 1st, 1996, she was hired by a sheriff back then as a 911 telecommunicator. And I had a policy back then that I did not hire family. And Shelley met her husband while working at the sheriff's department, and he was a deputy. So they found a loophole. And they're celebrating 24 years together. And after she finished her training, she held the position of backup system administrator to the ETSB director. In June of 2000, while employed as a full-time telecommunicator, she was hired as the interim ETSB administrator. And on August 14th of that same year, she was appointed by the ETSB as the full-time Lee County Emergency Telephone System Board Director. During her tenure, Shelley has worked with 4 sheriffs, 6 ETSB chairmen, and 7 county board chairmen. Now, on a personal note, I knew that when we hired Shelley, we had hired someone very special. She was one of the best dispatchers that we've ever seen. She was thorough, efficient, paid great attention to detail, and as they say, it was a no-brainer to hire her as the ETSB director. Shelley is one of the most dedicated employees you could have working for Lee County. And I know that Mike and Keene and Jack, who also worked in the Sheriff's Department, would tell you the same thing. The Lee County 911 system, since its inception, has handled hundreds of thousands of calls. And having a functioning 911 system is critical for emergency services, and that's what Shelley does. Behind the scenes, she makes sure that we have a superior functioning 911 system, and that means sometimes working nights, working weekends, holidays, getting called out in the middle of the night if there's a problem. And I can tell you that she is beyond dedicated and takes her job very seriously. And I can also tell you, having worked with her for many years, that you never had to ask her twice to do something or for information, or if you needed something, she was right on it and got the job done right away. Shelley has the vision it takes to look years ahead and plan for the future needs of the county and the 911 system, and that requires staying informed on the latest technology, legislation, funding, and budgeting, attending many meetings, conferences, and all kind, and going downstate a lot too. Because of her tireless efforts, the citizens of our county can sleep a little better and feel a little more secure knowing that help is only 3 numbers away when they call 911. So Shelley, if you would come forward. And on behalf of the Lee County Board and myself, we'd like to present you with this certificate of recognition for your 30-plus years and this gift card. And I can't remember if it was a trip to the Caribbean or if it was a Walmart gift card, so you'll have to find out when you open it. But congratulations, Shelley.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow. Thank you. I was not expecting all of that, so thank you. Let me catch my breath for a minute. I just had a flashback of 30 years. And as I look around this room, I see, as a baby dispatcher, my first sergeant sitting in front of me, Mr. Copine, who I was at one time scared to death of when I first started dispatching. Of course, my first sheriff, my first detective sergeant sitting down there. Oh, I didn't think I would get emotional. I apologize. And then Mr. Scrogstead, working in the jail with him, he was rotating through, giving us breaks in the little fishbowl that we used to be in when we were answering the Mayberry 911 lines. That's what it was when I first started years ago. And had to have our correctional officers come in and give us breaks so that we could go to the bathroom at that time when there was only one on duty. So while have we evolved? You know, like I said, we were answering analog telephone lines and pushing that one button, had no idea where people were located. We were using our voice logger with the dial-a-tape things and trying to play back radio traffic. You remember that, right, Keen? I do. Mike, typing on a typewriter, index cards. That's how our incidents were. And the only way we knew they came in on 911 was to put a big rubber stamp, red rubber stamp on it to say, these are the 911 calls, and over here are the regular incidents for service. So I thank you all. Thank you for that recognition and flashback in time. It's been, for me to stand up here and say it's just been a blessing all 30 years to work here. There's been ups and there's been downs. There's been budgetary issues. There's been tension. There's been goods, bads, and uglies. But overall, at the end of the day, I think we all come together and do what's right for the citizens of Lee County, do what's right for public safety, and we make it work. I won't take up a lot more of your time because I think I might cry a little bit. With the 30 years, and having said that, as Mr. Kitson indicated, I started when I was 12, so that's why, you know, I've maintained this level of mentality for all of these years, but there's a lot more work to be done. So I don't plan on going anywhere just quite yet. And I just thank you for the working cooperation that this county board has provided to the ETSB, Public Safety, State's Attorney's Office way back in the day for all of these years. So again, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Shelley. Lee County's lucky to have you for 30 years. We'll move down to February 22nd, regular county board minutes. Is there any changes or corrections to the minutes on file? If none, we're going to let them stand as read. We're down to 7. We have no Joseph Meyer resolutions this month. We'll go to zoning and planning. In your packet, there's a monthly report of zoning and planning with an overview of their office activities and petitions. Are there any questions any questions for that? If none, we'll keep moving. We have one petition going to the Zoning Board of Appeals. We have petition number 24-P-1623, petitioner Irish Eyes Farms LLC regarding pens number 16-01-13-100-001 and pen 16-01-14-200-003. It's located in Palmyra Township. This parcel is currently zoned Ag 1, Rural Agricultural District. The petitioner is requesting a special use permit for the purpose of a 5-megawatt commercial solar in a community, a commercial solar energy facility, a community solar. Is there a motion to move this petition 24-P-1623 to the ZBA? Mr. Friel moves, Mr. Kitson seconds it. Is there any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go down to C. We have one petition going to the Planning Commission. It's petition number 24-P-75 by the Lee County Zoning Office. It's a petition to amend a text of Chapter 5, Residential Districts, Article B, Single Family Residential District, Section 6, Restrictions under Title 10, Zoning Regulations of the Lee County Code of Ordinances. This proposed text amendment would create regulations for the limiting of raising, housing, and keeping chickens only in the R2 single district, single family residential district, R2. Let's get a motion to move this petition. Is there a motion to move this petition to 24-P-75 to the Planning Commission? Mr. Friel moves, Mr. Scrogstad seconds. Under discussion, Alice, would you like to explain? We seem to have a lot of confusion this week on this, what we're doing here.
Good evening. Just hoping to bring a little bit of clarity to what's going on with this proposed chicken ordinance. First off, it does not apply to the ag district. This strictly applies to properties that are zoned R2 single family residential in the unincorporated areas of Lee County. So if you're in the city of Dixon, Amboy, Franklin Grove, Ashton, they have their own zoning. This will not impact them. First off, to go through what we're proposing, because I think people are not aware as of yet, this use would be an accessory use in the R2 district. And that means that they would have to have an established principal use or a residence in order to have the chickens on the property. So if there is a vacant R2 lot out in the county, somebody would not be able to just place their chickens on there for the purpose of raising them. Going into the restrictions that we're looking to set, it would be unlawful for any person to own, house, raise, or keep chickens within the R2 single-family residential district unless it is done in compliance with the provisions of this subsection. No property shall have more than 6 chickens present at the property at any time, and roosters are not permitted. The owner of or occupant of any property keeping, housing, or raising chickens in accordance with this subsection shall provide and maintain adequate fencing and/or an enclosure sufficient in size and strength to confine the chickens to the property at all times. Fencing must comply with Section 10-14 fencing of the zoning code. All enclosures, including fencing, must be located at least 15 feet from any property line, must not be placed in any front yards and/or side yards, and must be maintained in a clean and sanitary condition at all times. The property shall not be maintained in a manner so as to become a nuisance. The property shall be maintained in a manner so as to retain residential characteristics. Manure, excrement, and waste shall not be allowed to accumulate on the property and must be cleaned up on a regular basis. Slaughtering and processing of chickens on the property is prohibited. Chickens shall be for personal use only. Sale of chicken byproducts such as meat and/or eggs is prohibited. Except for chickens, no other farm animals and/or livestock shall be housed, raised, or kept in the R2 single-family district. Should the property become vacant of the accessory use of chickens for a continuous period of 90 days or more, then the property owner or occupant shall be required to remove any enclosure and/or fencing that was placed on the property for the purposes of this subsection. Nothing in the provisions of this subsection shall be deemed a limitation upon any homeowner's agreement, covenant, common interest community, or other contract between multiple property owners within the county that prohibit or restrict homeowners from owning, housing, raising, or keeping chickens within the R2 single-family district. For penalties, any property owner who does not comply with the restrictions I just listed would be subject to the following penalties. Any owner or occupant who violates any of the provisions of this subsection may be required to remove the chickens from the property. Additionally, the zoning enforcement officer may levy a fine of not more than $500 a day against any person, firm, or corporation, their agents, employees, or contractors who violate, disobey, omit, neglect, or refuse to comply, or who resist enforcement of this title. We will be having a public hearing on this proposed text amendment on April 1st before the Planning Commission. It will take place in this courtroom. We encourage anyone who has any opinion on this to show up that evening and be heard, and your comments would be then forwarded to this board for consideration. Any questions? Yes.
Yeah, Alice, how many properties would this apply to?
There's a number. Typically, you don't see a lot of residential out in the ag areas, so it's going to be kind of focused on areas such as West Brooklyn, Compton, Sublette. So the unincorporated towns will probably have the most concentrated area of R2s that would be impacted. There are a couple of subdivisions that are R2 that are located in the county that would be impacted. However, we did include language so that if they have covenants that restrict chickens, that this would not supersede that. That would override this. So, does that answer?
Yeah, I've got a second question. When it comes to the fines and other provisions there, is there another ordinance that's similar with animals that has that strict of zoning regulations?
Not typically. The reason it is so strict is because it is residential. The homes are typically closer together. We are just looking to prevent any nuisance from occurring in these districts. And so therefore, obviously, if there was an offense, my office would reach out to them, try to resolve the issue. And then if it's not resolved, then we would look at the penalties.
Great, thank you.
Jack, did you have something?
I was just going to have Alice expand on those municipalities or those little towns that don't have their own kind of ordinances when it comes to this kind of stuff. Are they stuck with our type of ordinance, or could they do something?
So if they are unincorporated, they would be subject to this ordinance. However, some of these unincorporated villages may have the ability to enact their own zoning, that they could set whatever rules that they wanted with regards to chickens. We are reaching out to these unincorporated towns by letter and the townships, advising them of this proposed ordinance and encouraging them to come and be heard on April 1st.
Awesome, thank you.
Any more questions? Comments? Yes.
For the 90-day removal, if they were to cease having chickens, can they file for an extension?
Yes. I mean, if they have a reason why there are no chickens on the property, then we could monitor that situation if they were to contact my office.
Okay.
It's essentially just so we don't end up with rundown chicken coops or falling down fences for areas that are no longer being used.
Thank you.
I have a question. So the 6 chicken rule, say there's 4 chickens and the chickens lay 5 eggs. I just want to know if we count the chickens before they're hatched.
No, we will not.
Alrighty then. Mr. Pearson has a question.
Expanding on that question, how flexible is that 6?
We mimicked off of the city of Dixon, and since that has kind of worked for them, that's just more or less a starting point for us in Lee County. If this were to pass, we could change that if we saw a need to either raise or reduce the number or do away with it altogether.
Thank you.
More questions or comments? Okay, we have a first and a second and good discussion. So we're going to send this to the Planning Commission for the April 1st meeting is all we're doing right now. So all those in favor on sending this to the Planning Commission signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried then. Thank you, Alice, for your explanation. We'll go to D. I have one petition coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals. It's petition number 23-P-1617 by Stewart Creek Solar LLC. Its PIN numbers are listed in the attached petition. The petitioner is seeking a special use permit for the purpose of a commercial solar energy facility. Is there a motion to approve this petition? Mr. Kitson moves, Ms. Naylor seconds it. Any discussion? Any discussion? If none, we'll do this by roll.
Roll call vote, please.
Yes, we'll do this by roll call vote. Nancy?
Bivens,
No.
Book,
Yes.
Friel,
Yes.
Gascoigne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Huss,
Abstain.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copine,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Pearson,
No.
Robertson,
Abstain.
Shippert,
No.
Scrugstead,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Olson.
I'll abstain.
We have 11 yes, 2 no, 3 abstain.
Motion passed. Thank you. We'll go to E. There are no petitions going from the Planning Commission. Just a second.
I'm sorry, I stand corrected. There's 3 no, 11 yes, 3 abstain.
Still, the motion passed. So, thank you. We'll go to 9, Administrator Monthly Update and Board Member Comments. Jeremy, do you have anything you want to share?
Yeah, sure do. Yesterday, we met with our broadband breakthrough cohort and went through a ton of learning on how mapping's done. Ali could probably give you a whole introductory to JS mapping and what that really looks like. But we just wanted to let everybody know that we are working on the creation of surveys that will be sent out via email, will be also sent out in mailers, and will be available online. This survey is going to help us understand where the broadband access gaps are throughout the county. We do understand that folks are served in a lot of the bigger residential areas, but this is to let us know that, hey, there are these areas where there is either minimal service or no service, and we need to identify those areas because that's what's going to help us create the plan to make sure that we're working with minimizing that broadband access gap throughout the county. And if you have broadband access, we want you to take that survey too. We want to understand where your speeds are at, and also understand that what service providers you have, and making sure that the data that we have matches up with the data we're receiving from you. So we just wanted to let people know that this is going to be coming down the pike here real soon, and to please participate. Jack Scrogstead and Ally Huss have been reaching out to township supervisors, village presidents, and the like throughout the county, just so they're also aware that this is coming down and coming through. So during their meeting sessions, they're able to say, hey, be on the lookout for this. This is a real thing. We need your help. If we're going to create a strong plan, we need to have good results with this survey. So we'll keep everybody in the loop on that. I did also want to say I witnessed two pretty amazing things this week. First and foremost, on Tuesday, I was able to be a part of our election process here at the courthouse. And it was amazing. It was amazing to see what our county clerk staff and elections department go through, what the phenomenal public servants go through that come here and assist in that process. And it was quite fascinating for the first time, being on the inside and seeing how everything was calculated, how everything was tabulated, how seamless that was, and how secure everything was. So it was amazing. I wanted to say kudos to Nancy, the county clerk staff, the election staff, all the volunteers, all the public servants, that were here, as well as in all of the precincts. It was an amazing thing to watch. Also, yesterday, I was able to witness two gentlemen that graduated from drug court. I sat next to Nancy Naylor, and that was the first time that I've been able to witness that. This was a program that began in 2005 as an effort by our fabulous court system, offering intensive rehabilitation services to nonviolent adult offenders. And listening to the two gentlemen and their life story, their process, it was very moving. And I just wanted to say, I just think it's amazing to see what kind of impact that program can make. And, I'm very proud of the folks that went through the program, that will continue to go through the program. But, most importantly, our people here that put that program on and give other folks a chance. So that's what I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy. Any question for Jeremy? If none, board members, comments? Mr. Kitson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to share, yesterday, I stopped to see Mr. Hicks at the new farm chain facility south of town on 26. It's a beautiful building, does a wonderful job with it. It's a true asset to the county for what was there before. And he did want me to invite everybody. He's on vacation next week, but after that, stop in anytime you want, take a tour. He'd love to show it off to people. Did a beautiful job with that. Also stopped by the tourism office, and they are diligently working on getting an ad on one of the LOTS buses that will travel to Rochelle and DeKalb, because the grant money that we're using for it has to be, where it travels 50 miles, but it's going to be a real nice asset. And on the tractor shows and sublet, they actually used our logo on some of their stuff. So it's really catching on. It's starting to move well. And my final comment, I guess, if I may, there's been a lot of emails back and forth about this solar project today. If the news media is listening, I would really encourage people to come to the hearings and voice their opinions rather than coming to us the last day and expecting something to change differently. So if you're out there and you have concerns, please come to the hearings. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Good point. And any questions or comments for Tom? Any more comments from the board? If none, we'll move on. We have no public comments. Nobody signed the sheet. We have no public comments. And we also have no county organization presentations. So that leaves us with the reports of standing committee and county services. Mr. Scrogstead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. County Services met last week, and all the department reports are in the agenda packet for everyone, and when it comes available to the public. I want to make a shout out to the county board members that attended the ZBA hearings or participated via the Zoom. That is very important. I heard that quite a bit of us showed up for those meetings and participated in that, because that's where it starts at. And just to kind of bring up a little bit, a comment on the the chickens and the planning commission, that's where too, it's public, where, you know, if people have concern or if they don't have the right information, go there. That's probably why it's all messed up or why it got combobulated, you know, is because they got bad information. It wasn't even public. So I'm not even sure where they got this information, but it was wrong. If they read it like Alice did today, they couldn't be, you know, confused. Anyways, so that's my 2 cents on that. So, so anyway, thank you for that, and please attend the planning commissions when those things come up, not just the chickens, but everything that comes up. I also want to comment about the election part. I did not. I had mentioned that I wanted to go out on election day to visit these precincts to do an interview with all the judges. I did not do that because what I'm trying to do is there's a need for election judges, and I wanted to find a way to promote the need for election judges. And so Nancy, Jeremy, and I, over the summer, we're going to put together a campaign to try to recruit more election judges so they can participate in this great opportunity that we have, that we can stand up and vote and choose our leaders who can make a difference in the state and the country. So pretty much there's my soapbox. So any questions?
Any questions for Mr. Scruggsted? Thanks, Jack. I'll go to Public Safety and Court Services Committee, Mr. Copine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Public Safety met March 12th. Excuse me. The department heads present gave their information. The sheriff and a couple of others they had some extensive information to report. It's all in the packet that's available, and there's some very good information in there. The sheriff's department did a real good job on a couple of calls that they were handling, and we need to thank them for having the due diligence to keep us in a safe spot. So I thank the sheriff for that. That's all that I have to report, unless you have some questions.
Any questions for Mr. Copine? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Facilities Maintenance Committee, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last week we met, the facilities met, and everything's on the onboard. A few highlights would be our Jeff and the maintenance department finished a couple of projects. They were working on the treasurer's office for the last month, and I believe that's pretty much come to a completion. It went very well. We were on budget, and the timeframes that we put forth is they were all hit. They also, the maintenance department, they are completed or close to being completed with Charlie Boonstra's office, the state's attorney's office carpeting, and that went very well as well. One other thing we have is the elevator project here, and obviously we all know that we've got stuff set up downstairs because the elevator's closed, but we're hopefully within 3 to 4 weeks we'll have the elevator back in service to where we can open the court building back up properly. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Any questions for Tom? Thank you. Go to claims, Mr. Zeman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The minutes of our 2 meetings are on the agenda website. The first meeting was on February 21st. We went through 46 claims. All 46 were forwarded to the county board for ratification. We met again on March 6th. We went through 62 claims. Paul came up and explained a couple of things that we didn't know about and clarified them. So we reviewed all 62 claims, passed them on, and that's my report.
Any questions for Mr. Zeman? Thanks, Mike. We'll go to finance, the chicken and the egg counter, Mr. Book.
I don't have a lot from finance. Reports in the packet. I think we're going to talk about this later with the squad car. So I don't have anything else.
Any questions, comments? Thanks, Mike. I got the executive committee, the minutes are in your agenda, or in your agenda packet, excuse me. Any questions or comments about executive? If none, we're going to go on to other reports. Board of Health, Ms. White.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on Tuesday, March 12th at 6:30 at the Health Department. The minutes are in, you're on board. I'll just call out a couple things here. Kathy is serving on the strategic planning work group for the Illinois Public Health Association. And we're working through the various emergency response plans. As you guys know, after the real life COVID experience, we're trying to identify any needs that may need to be met or addressed. Excuse me. The measles protocol has been updated and sent to local healthcare organizations and schools. I'm sure you guys have heard about some of that that's going on. The state is also rolling out a new disease surveillance system in the future, so keep an eye on that. We have a second 2023-24 monovalent COVID vaccine that's approved for 65 and up. If you have any questions, you can let me know or contact the Board of Health. They'll help you with that. In addition to last month, I mentioned we're beginning to plan for the strep test. We don't have a rollout date for those offerings yet, so once we do, you guys, I'll let you know. So it's in the process. One last thing is we're working really closely with the Head Start program, which is a really good thing for our community. So we're hoping to have registration events where children can receive physicals, they can get immunizations, lead testing, and it's also a place where families can get WIC services. If you guys aren't aware, that's women, infants, and children. So that's a great service that we can plan for, and other planning services that they might need. So it's a great collaboration that we have with the Head Start families here. Our next meeting will be May 14th, 2024 at 6:30 at the Board of Health. Thanks.
Any questions for Ms. White? Okay, thanks, Katie. We'll go to 911 Board, Mr. Hudson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There is no report in addition to the minutes in the county agenda packet already submitted by Director Dallas, as there was no meeting. But our next scheduled meeting is Thursday, March 28th at 3:30 p.m. at the Lee County 911 Center. Anyone have any questions?
Questions or comments? Thanks, Keen.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Akers, you're not with us tonight, so we'll skip the Tri-County and go to Blackhawk Hills Regional Council, Lee Ogle Enterprise Zone. Ms. Shippard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The next meeting for the Blackhawk Hills Regional Council is on March 25th, so that's upcoming. And then as far as the Lee Ogle Enterprise Zone, there's no update from the last meeting when we did the EZ map amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go to Waseda, which Mr. Akers is not with us tonight, so we'll go down to Surma. Mr. Zeman.
Yeah, no meeting to report on. However, the April meeting, we're all urged to attend, which I will attend, is their annual audit meeting. And I think it's the day of our next county board meeting. So I might or might not have a report next month.
All right, thank you. Move down to UCCI, Mr. Kitson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attended a meeting last month. There was a good presentation from Invenergy regarding both wind and solar and issues if there's problems, how we can go about getting help from the industry itself. There's no meetings, the minutes should be in the agenda, or in the packet, I'm sorry. And there's no meeting scheduled for this month. Next month, there'll be a 2-day meeting, meeting congressmen and going over a lot of those things.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Kitson? Thanks, Tom. We'll go to the last one, Illinois Association of County Board Members, Mr. Copine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We met on March 8th and went over 12 House bills that were probably at the top of the list. When we review the House bills and the Senate bills, the committee has 3 options to take. They can oppose, they can support, or they can remain neutral. Or there's an additional one that we can put them on hold if we want to, as far as at our level. out of the 12 that I have with me tonight and the 12 that we reviewed March 8th, we opposed 4, we supported 1, and we put 1 on hold. The rest, we didn't take any action on at all. We discussed it, and we discussed all of them. There's a brief synopsis there that lays out the gist of the bill. And that's all that I have.
Any questions or comments? Mike? Thanks, Mike.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So now we'll move on to unfinished business. We have an ordinance that we held over from February. The ordinance is amending the administrative impound fee. Do I have a motion to approve that? Mr. Friel moves. Mr. Gascoigne seconds it. Any discussion? Everybody know what we're voting on here? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'll go down to new business. We got to do these 3 in order. This is for the Highway Department. So we have a resolution appropriation for county matching funds. It's in the budget, but we got to show IDOT. They want to see it specifically matched. I think, Dave, do you want to come up and explain? I think we're going to have 3 here. We probably need some guidance as we go.
Sure, I'll back up and start with what we're doing here. So you've got 3 items there that relate to this particular project. It's what I call, or we call a TARP project, Truck Access Route Program. And it's what you might call extra money or new money. It's not part of our normally allotted money through the state or feds. So you apply for this, has to meet a number of different criteria. One of those is logical termini to logical termini, meaning you've got to connect to something. And so we're in cooperation with DeKalb and LaSalle County. They've got some routes that they are interconnecting with ours that ultimately end up at Route 39 interchange on Chicago Road. So ours is just sort of one little link in the system here, about 1.6 miles. So for this program, you get $90,000 a mile, so it's about $145,800. And then we're matching the rest. So you got an appropriation resolution, then you have a resolution that designates it as a Class 2 truck route, and then finally, there's an agreement, just a joint agreement with the state for the project.
And on my notes I got, we have to do them in this exact order, correct?
Correct.
Okay, do I have a motion for the resolution of the appropriation of county matching funds? Mr. Robinson moves, Ms. Naylor seconds it. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Mr. Robinson. We'll go to the resolution establishing it at a Class 2 truck route. Do I have a motion to approve this? Mr. Wilson moves, Ms. White seconds it. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now we'll go to third of the resolution of the group, the joint funding agreement for the state participation. Is there a motion to approve this? Mr. Friel moves, Ms. Naylor seconds it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for explaining that. Next, we go to a certificate of authority. I think the company we get the salt from, we have to have this filed by May 1st or one of them dates. I don't know, Dave, you want to?
This is brand new this year. This is actually for CMS, Central Management Services, is who we get salt, and you can get vehicles. There's any number of different things that they put on the joint purchasing with state bid. So what we have to do this year in order to purchase anything, in this particular case salt, is you would have to grant somebody to sign the contract for the salt order. And I can't get the salt order in until I would upload this document into the link, and then I could order the salt. And I have to have that ordered by April 6th. So.
Do we have to order the same amount as we did last year? How does that work?
Nope, we can order whatever we want. In fact, this year we're going to order, I think, substantially less.
Yeah, it looks like you're full pretty much, right?
And we have more to take.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Dave, does this include townships?
What's that?
Township salt, or is that a separate?
Townships can do the same thing.
This is just the
But
county.
this isn't for the townships. This is only for the county.
Okay.
Each township would have to do
Yeah, I haven't
do their
seen it.
thing. Well, the township is a little bit different. The highway commissioner, since he's, doesn't need board action,
Right.
they are
Oh.
the highway authority. You folks are the highway authority. That's why you have to grant the authority to somebody else to sign the thing. They have a little bit different thing. It's called a bylaws or approval or something that they can use. Yep. A little bit simpler process.
All right. Is there a motion to approve the certificate of authority? Mr. Kitson moves. Mr. Wilson seconds it. In discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Motion carried. Thanks, Dave, again. We'll move down to the lots, the Reagan Mass Transit asset transfer. Looks like we're on schedule with this. Is there a motion to approve the lots Reagan Mass Transit District asset transfer agreement? Mr. Friel moves. Mr. Gascoigne seconds it. Any discussion? If no discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We'll go down to F, letter F, revision of the zoning and building permit schedule. Is there a motion to table? We're going to have to table it because we didn't have all our information, the agenda right. So we're going to table this. Mr. Copine, you're moving to table it, and Mr. Wilson moves to second it. Any discussion why we're tabling it? I just had it printed wrong on the agenda, and we want to make sure we do this right. So I think we'll table it this month and revisit it next month. So all those in favor to table it, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. We'll go to letter G, board action request form from the sheriff office for the new squad purchase. Is there a motion to approve the sheriff's, is there a motion to approve the sheriff's office new squad purchase? Ms. Naylor?
I'll make a motion to approve this purchase with the contingency that both of the villages that are involved in it sign the contract that's presented by Charlie and Clay.
All right. Mr. Kitson?
Second that motion.
All right. Any discussion? I think Clay got the contracts out today, sent them over, so I think that shouldn't be a problem, you think, Clay? Okay. All right. Any questions or comments? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We go to appointments. We have a resolution reappointing John Beveridge to the Housing Authority. Is there a motion to reappoint him? Mr. Kitson moves, Mr. Friel seconds it. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I have no request for executive session tonight. I need a motion for approval of county, motion to approve county officers' reports and quarterly treasurer's report. Mr. Copine moves, Mr. Friel seconds it. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So now I need, is there a motion to approve the monthly revenue report, claims paid in vacation, and payroll paid? Mr. Bivens moves, Mr. Robinson seconds it. Any discussion on this? If none, we'll do this by roll call vote.
Book,
Yes.
Friel,
Yes.
Gascoigne,
Yes.
Hudson,
Yes.
Huss,
Yes.
Kitson,
Yes.
Copine,
Yes.
Naylor,
Yes.
Pearson,
Yes.
Robertson,
Yes.
Shippert,
Yes.
Scroggstead,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Wilson,
Yes.
Zeman,
Yes.
Bivens,
Yes.
Olson.
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you. I need a motion to approve board member mileage and per diem. Mr. Wilson moves, Mr. Friel seconds. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I need a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting. Mr. Wilson. Mr. Friel seconds it. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Safe travels.